Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest fights to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
Probably one of the favorite ones is this. At the time, I had three dogs, which I have now, but a guy found a track and thought it was a big Tom, and it quite wasn't. But, two of my dogs would not touch the track, and my lead dog, Chief, he just took off, just kept going. I'm not the type of person to, if they're on a cat track, I'm not the person to tone them off.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's what we trained them to do, so that's what we want them to do. And unless it's, private property or chance of wolves or something. But
yeah.
And he went in there for, it was like on the GPS, it was 2.35 miles or something like that. And roadless, so I'm a little bit nervous about wolves, of course. So the closest spot we could get was 1.85 on the GPS. And my youngest boy was with me, my oldest boy was with me, and then the guy that found the track and his son.
Okay.
And we both had tags that year. And so I'm thinking, well, if we start hiking, my youngest boy, this is probably 5 years ago, so he was about 10.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, this is going to be,
that's a bit of a hike for a 10-year-old.
It's going to be hike, snow. We had to cross a river. And he was like, no, I want to try it. And I'm like, all right. He goes, if I can't make it, his older brother said, we'll turn back and go back to the truck.
Yeah.
We got there, and we're probably about 300 yards away, and I hear my dogs bark, and, and the other ones are starting to get closer to him now that I brought him in. And all of a sudden, he changes barks, the cat jumped. Lucky enough, it just went across the creek and treed.
Okay.
We get up there, and just this huge female. And I'm willing to shoot a female or a tom with my tag. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And the guy wanted just a big tom. And I'm like, if this was closer, I would have shot her.
Yeah.
She was, I guessed her probably that pushing 120.
Okay.
She was a big female. And the dogs treed and everything. But the part of that story was him by himself holding that cat that whole. I mean, it took us probably almost 2 hours to hike to it.
Yeah.
And then my youngest boy, making the trip. And
no, that's awesome.
it never, not a complaint coming all the way back out. So that was kind of one of the cool stories from my lead dog and my youngest boy. So.
Yeah, definitely. Getting kids involved, I know, is always fun. And
it's
special for them to get to see, what we love.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and all 3 of them love running with me. And, and the 2 oldest, my oldest boys, he just turned 28. My daughter's 25. They both shot cats.
Okay.
My youngest boy, he loves the run, loves the chase, kind of like the dogs. Doesn't have a want to kill a cat.
Huh.
He loves taking pictures of it and walking away. So,
hey, that's fun.
Yeah, and that's about what I'm at in my life too with him. Is I just love watching the dogs work.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about to me. So.
Definitely. Why don't you introduce yourself?
So I'm George Nass. Live in western Montana, in a little town called Plains.
Okay.
And born and raised there. Moved out for a few years when I got married and kind of changed. I was logging and kind of changed professions, and then I didn't like the bigger towns, so we moved back. But the good and bad of little towns, but it's pretty nice. So been guiding and outfitted a little bit, but guiding a lot of my life.
Okay, and that's actually we're at the Great American Outdoor Show. That's the funny thing is this show. Being from Pennsylvania, it's kind of nice to be able to meet people from all across the country. And, I've followed you on Instagram for the last couple of years and, just happened to throw it up that I was going to be here. And I didn't realize you were guiding, so.
Yeah, I'm guiding for another outfitter now. And this is my first time ever this far east. And at this show, I wanted to just experience the adventure of it. And, and it's been pretty cool. So far, I've, got a ride out here. It's a long drive out in the snowstorms, but the 2 guys I rode with are super cool, so it's been a blast out here.
How long of a ride is that?
Normally they tell me it was 36 hours.
Okay.
We left Saturday morning from Plains at 10:30 and pulled into the Penn Harris here at 2:30 in the afternoon on Monday. We stayed two 2 nights in a motel.
Yeah.
One day we drove for like, I can't remember how, 24 hours or something like that, just straight. So, but a lot of it, eastern Montana, was 27 miles an hour on the freeway. So
Yeah, that puts a dent in travel time.
it does. It kind of adds hours to it.
Yep.
But it was good. We got here safe, so.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
So you primarily hunt mountain lions then?
Yeah. I don't get to chase many bobcats. It's usually I guide first part of December, so I see bobcat tracks and just kind of go like, dang.
Yeah.
And got to pass them up because I got clients with mountain lion tags.
Yep.
But,
No, the funny thing is the most recent podcast that came out, that's exactly what we were talking about. He guides some, and I have a friend that I said the same thing. I said another friend of mine that guides in Idaho, same thing. Would love to run more bobcats, but when you give clients, you've got to pass those bobcat tracks to find lion tracks.
Yeah, and I got a good buddy that he'll run anything.
Yeah.
Just whatever track he finds, that's what he runs.
Yep.
And so usually if I'm guiding, I'll send him a message like, hey, here's a bobcat track for you. Come in, I'll mark it for him or something. But and he'll come over and run it. So
which is funny enough, when I started following you on Instagram, I don't know your buddy, but I mean I know of him. I've talked to him, and because we have unfortunately he just lost his, but we had a pair of litter mates.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny how small the dog world is.
It is, and especially with I run Leopard Curs, so.
Yep.
It's
the
not
leopard world's real small.
The leopard world's pretty small, which is kind of nice, but in ways. So you kind of, see somebody with another leopard, and and I'll message people on Instagram when I see a leopard. It's like, hey, what's your bloodline? And a lot of times I think that's how you message me. It was like, hey, what's your bloodline? So
I was like, how are the dogs bred?
Yeah.
And sure enough, I kind of figured a lot of the dogs in your neck of the woods go back to Nick Riley's stock.
Yeah.
So that's pretty well known up in that northwest corner.
Northwest corner. Yeah, Nick Riley, years ago got a hold of Bolt and Cammy. Yep. And then and it was funny because Bolt's bloodline down the line has been just amazing cat dogs, and Bolt was not a good cat dog. And so that's why Nick sold him. And I can't remember
He came east.
He's in Illinois. He won a bunch of Illinois state championships for coons, and he just became a beast on coons.
Yeah.
But Nick said he was not at all a mountain lion dog.
That's funny.
But then some of like I had Chief was at a Bolt and Cammy. A guy there in Plains had Ringo, which was at a Bolt and Cammy, and they were litter mates, but like a year and a half apart or something.
Okay.
And both of them are just mind-blowing cat dogs, but it was funny that the dad wasn't
a cat dog. That's funny. I never realized that. I knew that Bolt had been sold east. I didn't know exactly where he came to, but I knew he had been sold east. But
and he's got to be pushing 13 or 14 now. And the last I heard, he was still alive. But
okay, I didn't realize he was or not.
But I have not. Haven't talked to the guy for a year and a half or something now.
Okay.
But last I heard he was still, like on his birthday, he'd take him out and slowly run a coon or something. But
that's awesome. So, what do you look for in a cat dog? Like, what makes a good cat dog?
For size wise, I like small ones. Okay. I know there's a lot of guys, and I don't run bear. So I know if I did run bear, I'd probably look at maybe a little bit bigger dogs. But, but like I think when Chief got killed, he was like 52, 53 pounds.
Okay.
And I got a daughter from him that just is just blowing me away at what she's able to do, and she's like 37.
Okay.
Just super quick.
Yeah.
And just can run all day long and not get wore out.
Yep.
So I really like the smaller leopards out there. So,
in all reality, I've a lot of the people I've talked to that are especially for big game, are leaning more towards that 40, 50-pound dog anymore. A lot of the people I talk to. I'm not saying there's not guys that don't run big dogs, but and I would say even more so in western states than in the east.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that.
Yeah, they're so quick too. I think is a lot. You get some of them, not all big dogs, but for what I've seen when I ran with other guys with bigger dogs, is they're slower to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Where them little quick dogs are just
They're quick.
darting around like crazy. So.
They hold up. They're just a little tougher and can take a little bit more of a pounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which somebody gave me a great analogy. It's like you take a linebacker on a football team, or you take a cross country runner. Who's going to hold up longer?
Yeah.
The cross country runner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, their joints don't get beat to death.
The linebacker's an amazing athlete, but he's just not going to hold up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, when you think about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, my chief dog, he was probably medium nose.
Okay.
He'd run a little bit older track, but and which I would actually really enjoy that. Trying to turn loose on a 2 or 3 day old cat track just to work the dogs, but I want kind of the freshest track I can find just because of the wolf issue.
Yeah.
And it'd be awesome if we didn't have them on the landscape. And you could
know.
let them dogs run for 5 miles in the back country and be like, yeah, we'll get there at some point. And now they're 500 yards from me, and you're kind of worrying sometimes. So.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about the wolf issue?
Sure.
You lost some dogs a couple years ago.
3 years ago, coming this month, like February 20th or 21st, something like that.
Okay.
Yep. We had me and a guy were guiding for another outfitter, and turned loose on actually another buddy of mine told me about a big female, and the client we had didn't care.
Okay.
And so we turned loose on it, and they took off. And my one old dog, he turned off onto another cat track, and the rest of them, we had 4. I had 3, and my buddy had 1, a big blue tick of his. And they took off and went around a couple little draws and were showing treed. And I had went and picked up my old dog. And so we drove down to the bottom, and we're going to get ready to hike in. I looked at GPS, and the dogs were just spread out, not barking. And they had been treeing for maybe 10, 12 minutes.
Okay. It's not super long.
Yeah, yeah. And, and I look at it, and I thought, something's not right.
Yeah.
And I got down to my buddy, and I said, your GPS showing this? And he's like, yeah. He says, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't want to think what I'm thinking, say what I'm thinking. And anyways, we got down to where we needed to hike, which was still like 900 yards up in a nasty draw.
Yep.
And I see it was an 8-month-old pup out of my chief dog, and he's just flying down this draw. And I'm like, what is going on? And he gets down to me, and I can see he's just scared, what.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me, and I see a little bit of blood on him on the hind quarter part. And so I pick him up, put him in the dog box. And when I picked him up, in my mind, I thought I heard like air. And I didn't think about it at the time because, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
And so we start hiking in, and it was me, my buddy, and then the client's future son-in-law was there. We hiking in, and then I kind of clicked in my mind that when I picked him up, I heard that air, and I thought, oh no. And so I had the outfitter run him to the vet. And so we hiked up there. I found my one lead dog, Chief, and you could tell where he slid down the hill in the snow and underneath like a root wad. And he wasn't moving when I got there, and actually kind of yelled his name, and he kind of looked up. But he couldn't stand, so I just grabbed him, and then I could hear my buddy yelling up top.
Yeah.
And kind of, not a good yell.
Yeah.
And that one they tore up. And
I've seen some photos of Wolf killing dogs, and it's brutal.
He said he took a couple pictures, and I said, do not send them to me. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It's something that you'll never get out of your mind.
Yeah.
And lucky enough, and I hate to say that, but I lost 2 dogs that day, but they weren't tore up.
Yeah.
They had punctures. The pup had to be put down. He had a punctured lung.
Okay.
They said, well, you can maybe take a chance of getting him in Missoula, but it'll cost about $20,000 to save him. Maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
I can't afford that.
Yep.
If I could have, I probably would have.
I understand.
Mean, just because in my mind, I put them in that situation, and in my mind, you need to do everything you can to save it, but. And then come to find out, Chief, he passed away in my son's arms that night, and come to find out he had a puncture in the skull. We didn't know it.
Okay.
And he had some other punctures, but that's what did it. Then I had his other daughter. I got a daughter from a previous litter.
Okay.
And she was about 500 or 600 yards to the side. Kind of it looked like she was trying to run back to where we turned loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and she was kind of an more a little aggressive dog at some times. And I thought, yeah, they killed her. You know, she hasn't moved in hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we came out. I carried Chief out. Actually, the client came up because I was spent. He had to come up the last couple hundred yards and carry him out. And then I drove way too fast back to town to go to the vets. And then I was sitting at the vet, and a buddy of mine and his son went up to get, her name is Cricket.
Okay.
And I said, you know, when you get to her, just, you know, I gave him my GPS, and I said, no pictures whatsoever. I said, do not take a picture. I said, just pull her collars and just bury her the best you can in the middle of February.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Well, he gets up there, and she's alive.
Oh, wow.
Which made me feel bad because I walked by, you know, not by her, but,
Yeah.
you know, within probably 500 yards of her.
Yeah. You were up there.
And, yeah, I was up there, you know, but I thought for sure she was dead, you know. And
well, that's reasonable thinking, you know.
Yeah. You know, the rest of them were, you know, or you know, were going to be, but.
They were all tore up.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he calls me, and I'm like, what? You know, and he's like, yeah, but she won't let me get close. And she's that way. She's kind of a one-person type dog, you know. She takes a while to warm up.
Typical leopard.
Yeah. And so I said, put me on speakerphone. And I said, hey, Cricket. And I said, what's she doing? She goes, yeah, she's looking at me.
Yeah.
And I said, Cricket, you follow him out. And he turned, started walking. She did. She started following him out. And then my daughter wouldn't let me drive my truck back over. She drove me back over. So they were kind of nervous. So I get over there, and we pull in, and she walks up and gets her. And, yeah, she had bite marks from her brisket to her butt.
Jeez.
Some skin hanging down on the back hind quarter. Cost about, in total, is about $3,000.
Yeah.
You know, to save her life, and she had a punctured liver, internal damage pretty bad, but she came out of it, and she's running with me to this day yet. So
nice.
So
I'm glad at least you didn't get cleaned out completely. I've heard of people like, you know, especially guys that have a small pack, and it's like takes the entire pack, and then you're done.
Yeah, because my oldest dog would have been in it, but he just drifted off a little bit at the first and caught, you know, not an old track, but a little bit older, and so he's, you know, both. That was Moss and Chief. That was my lead dogs. You know, so tons of times they'd split off on their own and be running their own cats. You know, so yeah. Otherwise, he would have been in there, and you know, and he was. I think he died exactly 1 month to the day later. Had a heart attack.
Okay.
And walked out there to where I fed him, and he was just tip over dead.
Yeah.
And that was a lot easier to swallow than the wolf. I mean, that was natural. He was, I think, 11. I think you're going to be 11 in June.
Okay.
You know, so he was almost 11. But
no, like you said, it's different when it's just natural causes versus a freaking wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and if a cat gets him,
you're running.
That's part of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. The wolf gets him, and to be honest, I know this might sound weird, but I never did blame the wolf.
Okay.
They're a killing machine. They're born to kill.
Yep.
You know, so it's like somebody's dog coming into your yard and your dog being like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I don't like it, and yes, I'll shoot every wolf I can, you know, that I can get a shot at.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go out and snare. I'm not going to go out and poison.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a vendetta against them.
Gotcha.
You know, but
there's some guys that do.
They do. I know.
That's for sure.
I know a couple that, man, they would, if they could poison them, they would. You know, but I've talked to a couple of them that's like, you're going to kill people's dogs.
Yeah.
You know, if you can find a poison just for wolves, maybe. But
unfortunately, that selective just wouldn't work.
Yeah, it just ain't going to work, you know. So, and, you know, I mean, they're on our landscape. We have to deal with them.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to be out there without them.
Yeah, I know. I don't blame you. And that's one thing, like, I went to the UP a couple years ago, and I didn't take dogs, and that was kind of one of the reasons I had in the back of my mind. They told me, like, we have wolves. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going up there for a couple of days. Do I really want to risk my dogs that are not used to being in wolf country?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying any dog, if you're even there, it's going to make a difference, but just, you know, why? I'm like, I want to go have fun, and not.
Yeah.
Why do I need to put my dog in?
Yeah, and the place
situation?
where mine got killed, I used to run down there all the time, and I will not go back because it's a ton of wolves, and I got buddies that run it all the time.
Yeah.
And knock on wood, they haven't had any issues this winter. I had a buddy lose some dogs last June with the bear chase season.
Yep.
They went over a ridge or something or two, and either went through a pack of wolves or a pack of wolves came in when they were running the bear. And
Yep.
I think there was 3 guys together, if I remember right, and there was I think 4 or maybe 5 that got killed, and 2 or 3 that got beat up pretty bad and stuff. So yeah, it's a scary thing. So I really watch where I.
How long have you been running hounds?
I did it quite a bit when I was a kid. Then when I got married, I still had one.
Okay.
He got the hip dysplasia. He was a walker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had when I was younger, was a couple walkers.
Okay.
Didn't do it a ton.
Gotcha.
And to be honest, it was fun in a way, but looking back on it now, it wasn't, if that makes sense. I mean, because my dogs now I just have to tone them.
Yeah.
And they'll come back.
Yep.
Or with the GPS trackers, I know some people, that's not right. You should just follow the dogs. I'm not in the shape to follow them dogs through what we run through.
Yeah. No, you guys hunt some rough country.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have that mutual friend. I've seen some pictures of your country. You got some steep stuff.
There's some steep stuff out there, and some of them cats, bobcats especially, loves the cliffs.
Yeah.
Not like cliffs, Utah cliffs, but for us, it's still,
yep.
Nasty stuff. And, so yeah, following the dogs around just doesn't sound fun to me. And then I can't even remember how. It's been quite a few years ago, 25 years ago, 26 years ago, we put my last hound down. He got the hip dysplasia, and I said, I'm done. Was married, kids coming, kids, here, and kids on the way, and I'm like, I'm not doing this, And then I had moved out of Plains. We moved back to Plains, and I started guiding again.
Okay.
And the outfitter asked me if I'd run cat hunt, and I'm like, I haven't done it for a long time, but sure. We have the GPS stuff now, and the dogs weren't quite what we thought they were, and I'd worked with a buddy and remembered he had bought these dogs,
Yeah.
And I called him and I said, hey, can you help me out here? And he's like, yeah, sure. And next morning found a track and treat it and everything. He had
Nice.
he had his blue tick, and then his leopard.
Yep.
And the old leopard he ran the next day, and he's like, no, he's too tired. He didn't want to come out. So we just had the 2, and then the guy I had a couple. But in a treat and everything, we tied him up. Guy shot it, and got everything done. And all he did was just kind of said, come on, let's go. And I see these 2 dogs walk out, and I'm thinking old school,
Yeah.
You got to leash him up to drag him out.
Yep.
And I'm like, holy crap, them things just listen to him.
Yep.
Walked right out to the truck, no leashes to walk out. And so he got me back into the dogs, and it was the leopards is what got me hooked.
Yep.
And just watching them and the personality, and I think any dog can run a cat.
Mm-hmm.
A mountain lion especially. Bobcats,
Yeah.
I think, are tougher. But, I mean, I've got a buddy that had a little, can't even think, those little kick-me dogs. And that thing would run cats with us. It was hilarious as crap, but
That's funny.
I got pictures on Instagram
Yeah.
of him there, but little Yorkie, that's what it is. And he thought he was a hound, so
That's
he's out
too
there
funny.
treeing and everything. But the leopards just really got me, how personable they were.
Yep.
Where my old walker dogs would be like, they don't give a crap if you pet them, just feed them.
Yep.
And let them run a cat once in a while,
Exactly.
Where these leopards, they want your attention, they want to please you.
Yep.
And because I remember when I was a kid, you tree a cat, and those dogs would never come to you,
Mm-hmm.
to get petted or anything. They just did their job. That's all they were a tool.
Yeah.
And these leopards, man, when they, you get a certain distance, 10, 20 feet from a tree, they come over to you. It's like, hey, see what we did.
Yeah. They want to show you. They're very much part of the family a lot.
Yeah.
They want to please you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's still times that they, like anything, it drives you nuts. But
Yeah.
why did I get doing this again? But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's high on my list of importance,
Yeah.
in life. So
Nope, I completely understand it. I think everyone listening does.
yeah,
We're all ate up with this addiction of running dogs on something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's kind of, I've only run one raccoon in my life.
Okay.
We just don't have many.
Yeah.
Where I live, and it was a day that I got done running a cat, and actually I pulled my dogs off because it was the cold end of a cat track that my buddy was already treeing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man! So I pulled them off, and you could tell they were like, oh come on.
Yeah.
I'm just driving down the road. There's this raccoon sitting on the side, so I'm like, might as well dump them. And
There you go.
yeah, they ran it into the brush and caught it. But that's the only one I've ever run. I think it'd be kind of cool to, be able to do that more. But just something different.
Yep.
In the summer or something that we can't run big game. That at least get the dogs out. And
Yep.
Let them do something. But
Yeah. And you're not running bears? I mean,
no. So we're right where I live in Plains. There we can't run bears in that section, and over in the Region 2 over there, St. Regis, Superior areas where we can run bears.
okay.
But that's where my dogs got killed. And
Gotcha.
so I'm like, if I'm not going to run there in the cat season with snow to
Where
know
you
where
can
the wolves
know
are,
where they're at, yeah.
sure not going to run over there in dry ground. And I do miss running dry ground. I really enjoyed it because,
Yeah.
my old dogs, they would strike from the truck,
Yeah.
and it was a blast. You didn't know what you were running.
Yeah.
And sometimes on the GPS you could tell if it was a bobcat or a mountain lion once they got going,
Yep.
but then you didn't know, is it just a little female or is it a 180-pound tom?
Exactly.
Until you got to the tree. So I miss doing that. But
Now, when would you say the wolves got real bad around your area?
trying to remember what year I saw them. We saw a ton of tracks. So I'm probably about 2003 or 4. I was doing a little trap line, and we
Okay.
were running the main road up what we call Thompson River, and there was, I think, 6 or 7 wolf tracks, and I had seen a track here or there,
Yeah.
but it seemed like that's when the pack started showing up.
Gotcha.
And so for that first 8-10 years there was quite a few packs.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to remember when I got back into, I think it was 9 years ago is when I picked up my Leopard Chief.
Yeah.
And, and ran with my buddy up Thompson River, and we ran St. Regis at that time a ton, and rarely ever saw a wolf track over there.
Okay.
Here and there, we knew they were around, but not
Yeah.
a ton. And but I know Thompson River we don't see as many now.
Okay.
Means they've allowed trapping.
Yeah.
I think that's really helped in some areas. But St. Regis Superior, you can drive up any draw and see wolf tracks.
Okay.
So
I know your buddy, like, when I've talked to him, he's very adamant, like, when he cuts a cat track, he circles it and tries
Yep.
to make sure there's no wolves in the area.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
which especially after you guys' experience, I can definitely understand.
yeah, yeah. We get, we've passed up a lot of tracks.
Yeah.
Knowing darn well the dogs would catch it.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, just a couple days ago, there was wolves headed into this, as we call an island with a roadway around
Yep.
it, and they never came out.
Yep.
That's where the cat track's headed. So it's like, it ain't worth it,
Exactly.
just, for pictures,
Yep.
So I'm like, no, the wolves will move out or the cat will move out after time. So
Yeah.
I'd rather go home without a run than go home
Without a dog.
without a dog again. Yeah.
No, I completely understand. That's one frustrating thing that I don't envy. I envy you guys in the fact that you guys have some beautiful country, and I would love to see some cats in a tree, but I
Yeah.
don't envy the wolves.
Yeah, yeah. That's I know my buddy and I, we talk about that all the time. It's like how nice it would be, or where it used to be years
Yeah.
ago, but how it would be so nice just to turn your dogs out and not have to worry about wolves.
Yeah.
We've had some worries where, like Chief, he'd always seem to always go off by himself and find a cat when he'd be off by himself, and now his daughter does it.
Yeah.
She's done, I think, 2 years ago, I turned loose on a cat, and she was like 37 pounds at the time, 35, 37. She's just built like her dad, just scrawny but tall, you know. And my young dog, or my oldest dog now, the one that survived the wolves, she's always had the habit of sometimes she'll run a cat, and other times she won't.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It's her. That's how she is, and I've come to be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if she runs it, great. If not, in the box she goes, you know.
Yep.
And but that little Halsey dog, 142-pound Tom all by herself.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, I was nervous that one. That was.
I can imagine. Well, and like we talked the other day, and you know, the mountain lions have gotten a little more brazen about coming after dogs because of the wolves.
Yeah.
So I can see why you would be nervous. You know.
I know I've had some buddies that have had friends or something that a cat has turned on a dog, and it seems like usually if the dog is quiet, or you know that quiet bark or something, that seems to be the ones that the cats will turn on.
Huh.
But then it seems like if they're just, you know, one or two like that, but
Yeah.
it seems like if you get, you know, 3 or more dogs, it doesn't seem to happen too often, but unless they get cornered or something. But, you know, but I know I had a female just beat the crap out of the dogs one day because she had kittens there, and she's doing her job. She's protecting them, and she did, you know, but she'd come out and slap the dogs a couple times and go back in. But lucky enough, we haven't had any issues where we run, you know, with cats turning on the dogs. We've had them, you know, kind of bay up a couple times and then eventually, you know, get going. But then we're always running, you know, between him and I at times we had 7, 8 dogs together, you know, running. You know, now we're down to, I guess we're still at 7 total. He's got 4, I got 3.
Okay.
But when I had my old ones, we had, I think, 10 at one time together. He had 6, I had 4.
Yeah.
You know,
I know last time I talked to him, he said he was cutting back a little bit.
He was a little bit, yeah. And then he just lost his one dog, so I think he probably might be looking, you know, and actually him and I were going to do a breeding together, but that won't happen now. But but I'll be breeding another, same bloodline basically.
Yep.
And then so he might, got a feeling he might get a pup out of that.
Yeah.
But I'm more afraid of his wife than him, so we'll have to see if I let him have one or not.
I've got a buddy like that. He's like, "Oh, let me get a puppy." And I'm like, "No, not unless your wife agrees." So I'm like, "I'm not hearing about it."
Yep. They're the ones that have the final say most of the time.
I'm like, "You get her to text me." Because I know it's not you because he's a truck driver. So I'm like, I know you're on the road. If she texts me, then I will let you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I plan on doing a cross this spring when she comes into heat. And getting a pup out of that.
Nice.
I think it'll be a pretty good. I think it'll be a pretty good cross. Same leopards, but different bloodline.
Yeah.
So.
Now we need a couple more good stories.
Oh man. Let's see if I can think of something that. There's so many that they kind of blend together, you know. But I guess a couple we've had with. I guess one was with my buddy, in that St. Regis Superior area. And at the time, all I had was Chief. It was before I got my other dog.
Okay.
And we had went up and we turned loose on. I think they struck from the truck. Or we rode them, or I can't remember how it started, but they took off and went way the heck up on top, and I know my buddy and I were post holing through the snow, and it's about crotch deep, and my daughter was, you know, she's probably 8-9 years ago, and so she's, you know, she's 25 now, but so she was little enough she could walk right on top of the snow, and it was torquing us off, you know, because we'd post hole, fall through. Yeah. And but anyway, the dogs went way up over the top, and all of a sudden they just stopped. And that was our first. I'm pretty sure that was our first encounter with wolves. Okay. Because mine and his, he only had 3 at the time, and so mine and his two of his started coming back on their backtrack, and we're like, what is going on? And his lead dog just stayed there, never moved, no barking, and we're just like, oh crap, you know. And we're like, we don't even know if we can even get there. We didn't have snowshoes. We didn't even know what those were at the time. You know, we're like, nah, we don't need those. You know, and now we all got them. And it felt like forever, but it was maybe 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden he starts moving. Yeah. And my daughter's like, oh, he's moving. And I'm like, is he being drugged? That's what I thought. I thought he was being drugged downhill. And pretty soon, no, he actually circled around, hit their track, and we moved up the hill and watched our 3 dogs come by us. Yeah. And you could tell they acted really nervous. Okay. And we're like, this guy had to be wolves. And, you know, they come up to us, and, man, they're just, like, against us. Yeah. You know, and even his old blue tick wasn't great personable, you know. She was right there wanting petted. Yeah. You know, and she was not a bump into the other dogs for friendly, you know. Yeah. And they were just all balled up, hugging, basically. You know, they were just, like, right there. All nervous. And here you know, the other dog, he shows up, and no marks, no nothing, just real skittish, you know. So we're like, okay, let's get out of here. So we're walking this old road down, and they're ahead of me by a little bit, 15 yards or something, and Chief was right in front of me, and all of a sudden Chief just head comes up and jumps off the bank. And he's going down there a little bit, and I'm thinking, I'll let him go down there a few more feet and bring him back up, you know. Yeah. Just about that time, all of a sudden I hear him bark, and I look down at him, and there's 2 cats splitting. One goes to the left and one goes to the right, and he's on the one to the right, and I yell, cat. And the other dogs come flying down, and they all take off to him, and the one just went to the left, just treed right there in the little pine. We go down there and get pictures, and we start going to the other one. It was just a little juvenile. Okay. We go to the other one. It's another juvenile. Yeah. And so we're like, well, that's cool. You know, it worked out fun, you know. So we're walking down the hill, and Chief keeps trying to go up to my left, and I'm thinking, no, that's a cat that we already got pictures of. Come on, you know, get down here. They get down to the truck on the lower road, and all of a sudden I hear Chief and Dixie just blow up below the truck. And we're like, oh, okay. They shoot down this, and it's straight up and down hill. And they get down there and tree another juvenile. I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know. And so we take pictures of it. We're walking back up the hill, and all of a sudden I hear what I thought was a dog bark below us. And I'm like, where's Chief? And he had this famous thing where he would circle around and go back to the tree when you were trying to leave. And I look at GPS, and he's past the tree. And I'm thinking, the cat bailed. Now he's after it. So we go back down. Well, the wind's coming up. He actually found the den site. Okay. There's bones and a little cave. And so it's just that cat scent coming up, you know. And so we get back up to the truck. We uncollar him, and he puts him in the dog box. Mine goes in the back seat. And we get in the truck, and we start driving 50 yards, and I look out the window up the hill, and there's a cat in a tree. And it was the 4 juvenile. We had seen the tracks before, the 4 juveniles. Yeah. And here that's what my Chief dog was trying to go to. Yep. Was that one. You know, if I would have listened to him, he would have been. Funny. We would have seen him. And so, we took pictures of that and got the dogs loaded up. So, that was a 4-cat day after thinking we might not have a dog, you know.
Exactly. I'll say your buddy, because he's not picky and he'll run anything, he trees a lot of cats every year.
He trees a ton.
I mean, and that's lions and bobcats.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember what year it was, but he put up, it was 74 cats in one year, 74 or 77, something like that.
I mean, I don't know if you want to mention the outfitter you work for, but I was talking to the owner a couple years ago, and he even was bragging on your buddy. He was like, he puts up a lot of cats.
He puts a ton. He has some amazing dogs, and that's it. He don't care what cat it is. The dogs don't care. Yeah. You know, they don't care if it's a 20-pound bobcat or a 180-pound tom, and that's how him and I are. And that's what I love running with him is the big toms are cool, but any cat to me is cool. Exactly. You know, so just the dogs don't care and we don't care, so we'll just run anything. And you know, I know we'd put up more if it wasn't for the wolves. Yeah. You know, because there's areas that we know we can't get to fast. Yep. You know, and the wolves can. Yeah. You know, so and there's there's days that I'm sitting there biting my fingernails, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, then I'm, wondering, is there wolves hidden in that spot? But,
I'd be nervous too.
yeah,
I don't blame you.
If you weren't, there'd be something wrong with you, I think. But
Exactly.
but yeah, he puts up a ton just because he don't care what it is.
Yep.
So in that way, I think his dogs are always been just amazing.
Yeah.
They just keep going. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's getting rough because his lead dog now is right around 12.
Well, yeah, because you just lost Dang It, so
Yeah. So
it was basically kind of taking that spot.
Dang It was, and then his new one, that Hetson, was
Okay.
that Drothauer cross, which is that's cool as crap to me to watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a bird dog. That's what he looks like. Stub tail, looks like a Drothauer, just a blue merle color mixed in. But he's not little. He's a big dog, and he's leading the races.
Nice.
And him and Dang It were the fast ones. And then when Dang It got sick, and then so now when we run together, I get at least Halsey's with him.
Yeah.
For those little bit longer runs when he outruns other ones by a mile.
Yeah.
But it's that bittersweet to see them old dogs
Yep.
get to that point, because you're like, one of them races might be the last.
Exactly. Well, it's about to get busy in here, so I won't hold you up too long, but I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me this morning.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't know if you want to plug your Instagram or whatever, you can. If people want to follow you.
Yeah, I don't do Facebook hardly ever. I don't like it. But Instagram, I'm on there. I need to be on it more, but
Yeah.
I've been so busy guiding and everything. But yeah, it's just Leopard Runner
Yep.
on Instagram. And I just put hunting pictures on there mainly, and
Yep.
guiding and stuff like that. So,
Well, I appreciate it, George. Thank you very much.
yeah.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.